Hello, am I? Hello, can everybody hear me? I hope you can. Welcome to the American Public Health Association's Google Hangout. Am I here? Oh gosh, is this working? Oh. Hello! Hi, welcome to the American Public Health Association's Google Hangout for the PHACT campaign, Making the Media Work for You. I'm Lindsay Wahoyak with the APHA and the Nation's Health, and this Hangout is happening in conjunction with APHA's annual Public Health Action Campaign, which we call the PHACT campaign for short. Everything you hear today can also apply to your everyday advocacy efforts, which is super cool. The PHACT campaign was developed to encourage communication between Congress and public health advocates. It lasts all summer long, and we have a special emphasis on the August congressional recess, which is just around the corner. This Hangout is live, which is exciting, and you can watch it anywhere on YouTube, afterward, or during. If you are watching on Google Plus and you want to look at it on a larger screen, you can just hit the little full screen option at the very bottom right-hand corner. I'm pointing right, but maybe it's left for you. Or you can open the video on YouTube via the YouTube logo next to that. We also invite you to share this Hangout with coworkers or friends, and you can do that by using the share button, which is in the upper right, which I'm pointing at, but maybe you don't see. You just use the one, it looks like not a thumb or an exclamation point, so it's the other one. They will be able to join in live or rewind to the beginning to get all of this information, which is very exciting, I'm sure. This is also an interactive session, so go ahead and share your questions on the Q&A sidebar right on the right-hand side of your screen, and we will try to answer a few of them at the end of the Hangout. So if you ask a question, just kind of hang on till the end, and hopefully we will get to what you have to say. So let's get started. And since some of you might be new to the PHACT campaign, let me tell you a little bit more. The PHACT campaign encourages APHA members, affiliates, and other public health advocates to engage with members of Congress during the summer congressional recess. It offers a really great opportunity to educate policymakers on what's important to you with regards to public health, and it gives you an opportunity to connect with local advocacy leaders. This could mean attending a town hall meeting in your community or sending a message to Congress expressing your opinion on a public health topic. It could be social media. It could be a whole range of things. So during this Hangout, we're going to focus on the very important role that the media and social media play in being an advocate, and then how you, the media, and public health, and your experience and expertise can really make a difference and help shape the decisions of Congress. So let us get started. With me today is an excellent group of advocacy and media experts who are going to share their perspectives, experiences, and best practices on utilizing the media to easily and effectively advocate for public health. So let's give each panelist 1 minute to introduce themselves and share what aspect of media they will focus on. And I promise not to time you guys, but maybe I might. So why don't we go ahead with Whitney?
Hi, my name is Whitney Buffa. I am the associate editor of a newspaper up in Big Rapids, Michigan called The Pioneer. And with our big daily paper, we have a bunch of weeklies and a couple other dailies. And my main job is kind of just supervising content and working a little bit with editorials, letters to the editor, things like that, and that's a big way that we kind of reach out into the community, and that the community can kind of reach out to us and get their message out as well. So that's my role in this.
Awesome. And I think, Brian, how about you?
Hi, everybody. My name's Brian Hiatt. I work with M+R Strategic Services. We're a consulting firm of about 100 people who raise money, mobilize and recruit supporters, move the media, move the public, move decision makers, also that nonprofits can impact real and lasting change. We do that on the ground. We do it through media work and online. I personally am on the online team here and lead our team of social media specialists. Basically what that means is we stay on top of, big picture trends and strategy for social media, ways that our clients can integrate social media into their existing campaigns to help meet their objectives. We also do a lot of ad-driven fundraising and supporter recruitment through Facebook ads and other channels. And then increasingly are using some advanced modeling to really find hard to reach supporters, be they people who work in a specific industry or people who might be likely to foster pets for one of our clients. Really excited to be talking with you all today about how you can use social media, and I'll turn it back to Lindsay.
Thank you, Brian. And let's also turn to Katie.
Yes, hi. I am an assistant professor at East Tennessee State University, but I'm not here speaking to you today in that capacity. Rather, I'm here today to talk about our experiences with the maternal and child health section of APHA. I have been the chair of our communications committee for 5 years now, so I've seen social media change drastically in that time, and we have tried all sorts of different platforms for e-communications with our members. So my comments will be specific to engaging a membership of over 2,000 people, both around specific topics and becoming engaged with APHA as a whole. So I'm going to be sharing a few lessons learned and a few best practices for how to really get your members to engage both over social media and through an e-communications tool like APHA Connect.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have all you guys here. I think this is going to be a really good discussion, so let's just roll right into it. Let's get started with first question, which is, what are some success stories you've seen where individuals in the media have produced really effective change? And Brian, since you're our social media guru this time around, why don't you go first?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, before diving right into the example, just like the big picture context, like Katie was saying, social media has changed a lot, and it really gets down to, how you can use it to foster advocacy opportunities. If you think of advocacy as publicly, supporting, taking a stand for something you believe in, which is one definition of it, then, you just see that social media has made it so much more accessible. We all probably have these things in our pockets that can allow us to be advocates 24/7 around the clock. We have built-in audiences to be public with. It's an exciting and new time, but social media is really proving to be more than a flash in the pan. There's substance to it, and it really gets down to a basic organizing principle of, you got to meet people where they are, and, boy, are people on social media. That doesn't mean, because it's a free tool, though, doesn't mean that it's easy or, that it's cheap. You can spend a lot of time on it. One of the key questions when you start embarking on social media is really, what role do your constituents play, and how can social media help us reach our campaign goals? One of the examples I want to start with actually comes from Planned Parenthood Federation of America. We've worked with them for a number of years and really have kind of seen an evolution and really almost revolution in their online program as social media emerged and as they have just been, more and more in the media profile. So, about 4 years ago when the Tea Party took office, they knew that it was going to be a tough go. They started using social media and online to really message aggressively, to let people know what the threats were going to be, to get people primed for those actions. And sure enough, before the new Congress was even sworn in, they were under attack. It all really came to a head when Congress was about to, they wanted to defund them as part of the budget process. And they used social media really effectively in that regard. When the House of Republicans voted to defund them, kind of the natural ask. The older model of online advocacy would be, you know, send a message to your representatives, the thanks or spanks model. Or it could be, you know, it passed in the House, now we're going to go to the Senate, so we need to tell our senators to do that. What Planned Parenthood did, really, from a social media perspective, was they launched an action right away as that happened. It was neither of those. It was an open letter, it was fiery, it was something that people could sign on to. Really what that means in the context of social media and online today is that it was shareable. It was something that people could identify with. It was urgent, it was compelling, and it was something that they wanted to publicly associate themselves, which is one definition of advocacy. So that was a huge moment for them, and they continued to do that. Social media, online, you have to be fast. So that really forced the organization to make decisions a little bit faster than they might have as they were under attack. Social media and online took a seat at the table because we had to react to things quickly. Another watershed moment of that time was when, during the Affordable Care Act, there was a fight to keep contraception in, or to remove it from the free or no-cost prescription plans. And if people recall, there was an all-male panel testifying before a congressional committee about it. And that was just the perfect image for social media to get people fired up. A group of 5 men talking about women's health. They really leveraged that into what they ended up calling the Women Are Watching campaign, which was, you know, it took all of these attacks, put them into one overarching context of women are watching. So they identified the role for their supporters to play as, we need you to be a champion for these issues, and if you stay with us, if you take these actions, if you share these actions, if you donate to us, then ultimately we're going to kick these people out of office in 2012. And, you know, not only because of social media, because a lot of things, but in 2012 they were ultimately successful in making sure that, you know, the most extreme candidates did not win re-election or did not get elected.
That's a really great example, Brian. Thank you so much for sharing it. Katie, why don't you tell me a little bit about how your section has incorporated media into your advocacy plans?
This is an interesting which came first, the chicken or the egg type of scenario here. Our section, the Maternal and Child Health section, we have both a mid-year meeting and, of course, we meet at APHA's annual meeting. And the mid-year meeting several years ago fell just after the Newtown school shootings, and it was everyone in our section was devastated by the news, of course, and as a result, we came together to create a gun violence prevention working group. And the work that group did culminated, well, it's ongoing, but at the time culminated in a session at the annual meeting that was packed. It was packed. It was so well attended that people were kind of spilling out of the doors. And we had a father of a child who died in that incident there to speak, along with other gun violence prevention experts. And that panel and that session at APHA attracted the attention of the media. And so CNN was actually there to cover
Katie, I think we lost you for just a second there. I'm really sorry. We're going to come back, I promise. Oh, wait, hey, now you're back. That's really good. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I was just explaining that CNN showed up at that session during the annual meeting and did full coverage of that topic. So because of some advocacy work we were doing on the front end, we saw dividends, you know, paid by the media taking attention to that. So I think that's an example of how our efforts as APHA members, even just a small group of people who came together around a topic they were passionate about, showed terrific results through APHA's gathering.
That's really fantastic, and it's, you know, such an important topic too. That's, you know, and it touches so many people's lives. Whitney, why don't you talk a little bit about what you've seen at the paper, specifically with readers?
For our readers, we always kind of talk about our community, since it's a smaller community, being pretty engaged with our paper and having a lot of ownership. And a lot of times, even though our reporters and our editors are out there and they're observing what's going on in their community and coming back with story ideas, a lot of those stories are walking in our front door. Whether it's individuals who have something that they want to say or share with us, or maybe people that are involved in some local nonprofits or other organizations around town. And we see a lot of success with those kind of partnerships where people are really willing to participate in us and almost kind of chasing us to do the story. Because so often it's the other way around, and when we are chasing after somebody, they don't always necessarily want us to. But that said, we do a lot of kind of collaboration with these type of things. Something that we're doing right now this week is working with our local domestic and sexual assault support services organization. They just celebrated their 30th anniversary, so all this week we're running kind of these op-eds from them about different things to do with how their organization works. Some of the things are like, what can happen in 30 minutes in a domestic violence situation. What are 30 things that we give our clients when they leave our shelter? All kind of based on this. And I'd like to take credit for that, but that was not my idea. That was something that they came to us with and said, hey, could we do this and how can we make it happen? And we kind of just laid out the framework and said, you can do it like this and we can run it like this, and it worked out great. So that kind of also gives us a way to advocate for something that's important in our community and recognize, the need for people to know this information. But like I said, that wasn't necessarily something we came up with. That was something that people came to us, and it's working out really well. And we're not going beyond like print and the dead trees model. We do have a lot of support from our community on our Facebook pages, on all our social media accounts, on our website. And I think sometimes people forget that, because even people who don't subscribe to our paper are still kind of seeing what's going on with us and participating in the conversation through Facebook. So that's how that's kind of working for us. We have a lot of people coming to us nowadays, whereas it used to kind of always be us going out. And we really appreciate that. It makes our jobs easier, but it also lets us know what the community wants from us.
I love that. And one thing that we had mentioned, I think, a little bit before is not just the idea of writing a letter to the editor or writing an op-ed, which I think a lot of people think of when they think of nonprofit advocacy, but going to you guys with a story idea and saying, hey, do you think this would be interesting to your readers? That way the onus is not on the advocate to have a great idea and then have to write it if they're not a professional writer, right?
Right, absolutely. And we're always willing to kind of have a dialogue about what stories might be. Sometimes people come into us with an idea, and for whatever reason it's something that we maybe can't do, but we can kind of talk back and forth with them and say, we can't make it happen exactly like this, but here's what we could do. And kind of inviting us into it like that. There's different skill sets there, and we might have a way to tell your story that you might not have thought of, and vice versa. You might be able to tell us how to do something that we would have never thought of. So it's nice to be able to open that dialogue a little bit, and then in the end get a way better product and maybe more reach than you would have originally if you had just maybe written a letter to the editor or something like that.
I love it. I love that collaboration. I'm going to bring you guys into my world at the APHA headquarters in Washington, D.C. So this year the PHACT campaign is focusing on 3 public health issues. That's protecting public health funding, protecting public health funding in the Affordable Care Act specifically, and also stopping gun violence. These are not easy things to do. And it seems like maybe convincing policymakers to support these public health issues can be challenging and time-consuming. And really overwhelming. So what are the everyday practices that you might recommend that can contribute to advocating for public health issues? And Katie, since you're my partner in APHA crime, I'm going to go with you first.
Well, thanks. This took us a long time to figure out, and we're still learning. We want to make sure that we're engaging our membership through regular outreach. However, we noticed that people get very overwhelmed with emails. So a listserv that predisposes itself to a reply all situation didn't, it irritated people at times when the conversation got heated and there were lots of reply alls. So we fixed that issue. Also, we started a weekly posting schedule to where we post to our APHA Connect group and we post to our Facebook page and just engage people around a hot topic discussion. We post job openings around the country. We post professional development opportunities that we see come through our radar. And what else do we post? We post webinars that are happening in the field of maternal and child health. We also try to be very engaged in National Public Health Week. We have really, really eager section members. So this year alone, we sent out daily updates regarding National Public Health events, National Public Health Week events and webinars through APHA Connect. Our members participated in the National Public Health Week daily blog and participated in the creation of the video for that week. They participated in chats for the opening session. They participated in a Google Hangout then. And we try to stay as active on Twitter as we can. About 5 years ago, we surveyed our membership to see which social media platforms they were using. And Facebook was the most popular, hands down. At the time, a lot of people were saying, but I don't want to use it professionally. And we've seen that kind of drop off. It seems like people are more open to using Facebook regularly now, even for their professional endeavors. So we use Facebook often to connect our members to APHA. So we will link them to APHA Connect and that tool and start the discussion there. Or if we get some really enthusiastic responses via email to a weekly post, again, we'll direct to APHA Connect. So myself and my co-chairs and members of my committee, we really serve as managers of information, and we try to bring everybody to one place to have that conversation. One other really cool thing that we do regularly is we assess the names of the people who like our Facebook group and our Facebook page to make sure that they're members of APHA, and if they're not, we explain the benefits of APHA to them and invite them to join us. So it's been a great experience using social media regularly, and it seems like the more consistent we get in our message and our call for them to join us, the more positive response we're getting and the more consistent response we're getting.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff, which is super cool and maybe a little intimidating for some people. So everybody doesn't have to do all of that, right?
Oh, no, of course not. We have over 2,000 members, and we invite everyone to get engaged as they choose to. I believe we have right at 240 likes or endorsements on our Facebook page, and we allow people to post as they choose. So the groups are open. You can post if you want. If there's a topic that you're interested in, you can generate discussion yourself. So yes, you have your own mobility throughout our different communication tools, and you're free to engage or disengage as you choose.
Awesome. And thank you for clarifying that a little bit, because I don't want people to go, oh my gosh, that's too much, and then feel like they can't advocate.
No.
So it's good to know that we can take the little bits that work for us.
Yes.
Brian, this is what you do full-time for your day job and probably for fun, right? Tell me a little bit about your take on all this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, picking up on a couple things that Katie said there, with social media, it's really a great opportunity to supplement and strengthen your more traditional communication. So, email, other ways you're reaching out to people. There's more tolerance for more volume on social media. And quite honestly, when I say social media, what I mean 99% of the time is Facebook and Twitter for the reasons that Katie mentioned. A couple key differences between the two as far as advocacy campaigns go. We typically think about Facebook as the best way to reach the masses. There are just a lot of people on Facebook. Twitter, on the other hand, fewer people, Well, a different type of person. They're more news consumers on Twitter. They could be. There's more pockets of influential people on Twitter, and of course there are decision makers, legislators, and people, corporations on Twitter who care about what people are saying on social media, particularly, and quite honestly, anecdotally. Common knowledge is that politicians tend to care about Twitter a little bit more than Facebook as far as what people are saying about them or about their issues. I would posit that that's largely because of the influential nature of the Twitter audience itself. How you back to the question and how these three issues can really come together and help achieve the PHACT campaign goals. I think it really gets down to, like social media, you can use it to tell a story. You want that story to have a problem and solution, some tension where your supporters, your advocates play a starring role and ultimately help the campaign win. But before you just start telling that story, the couple of key things that you need to have are goals. What do you want people to do through your social media interaction? Who are those people? Who's your audience? How do you fit into their everyday lives? With the proliferation of social media, we're competing with a lot of different things. We can reach them 24/7, but that also means we're competing with what they're doing 24/7. So being relevant to them. And then two, developing a strategy for social media. And at its most simple, a strategy for social media can really be that what's your goal and what kind of content can you post to get people to meet that goal. I think there are four main things to remember about using social media for advocacy here, as far as the types of content that you're putting out there that you want people to interact with that are going to help. This is in addition to some of the content that Katie was saying, but like you have asks. This campaign has very clear asks. You want people to contact Congress online. You want them to send an op-ed or letter to the editor. You want them to go to town halls. You should ask people on social media to do those things, but you should also make it broader than that. The three issues of protecting public funding, gun violence, and those they should really add up to tell this story of why what we're doing matters, and catching on to news that breaks that's related to those issues, and mixing in your direct asks, your send a message to Congress right now, with broader news, so that they're really seeing the importance of the impact. They see the problem. You ask them to be part of the solution.
Thanks, Brian. That is, again, a lot, but I think we can take those little bits and pieces here and there and really make them work for us. And Whitney, I'm sure you have more of the same. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what you've seen at the paper?
Kind of, some of the same things that they're saying is, we're asking people to interact with us and to get involved with us, like on our different social media platforms. And for the most part, they are. I think that there was maybe for a while some doubt on our part whether we could do that. Maybe what's worth mentioning is we're a paywall website. You have to subscribe to us to come see all of our content online, and obviously you have to buy our print product at the box every day or subscribe to get it at your door. So I think at times we thought that maybe we couldn't get out there and get that message out there, but what we're seeing is that people are engaging with us through all of our social media, and definitely more on our website now than they have since I've been here. And I think that gives us, because people are kind of turning to us for other things, they're turning to us for the breaking news coverage and everything else. What they're finding is when they come to us that we also have these other things going on, like I kind of mentioned with our domestic violence promotion this week. If you weren't coming to us already, you might not have stumbled across that to begin with. And then we kind of get known for doing that stuff, and we become a place to turn to for that kind of content. you know, we do offer people a lot of stuff that they can also talk about with their neighbors, stuff that they can share on their own Facebook pages and stuff like that. And I think sometimes with that as well, reading the newspapers and being somebody that is up to date with current events and stuff kind of is something that people want to show to people that they are. You know, when people are sharing something from our website on their Facebook page, is to kind of say like, yeah, I agree with this. This is the kind of stuff I want to see. We also see people sharing that stuff and saying like, this is what we want to see in our community, and this is a good reflection of us. One of the big things like that for us is when we kind of partner with our breast cancer and cancer services centers in October, and that's also a good way for us to kind of collaborate, like I was talking about earlier, and that stuff goes across all of our platforms as well, so it's very visible in that way.
I love that. So even by being a reader, you're already being an advocate because you're able to speak intelligently about the stuff that's going on in your community and the stuff that you care about, which I think is super cool. We also have some great questions coming from people who are watching us. And hi, everybody. Thanks so much for asking those questions. We will get to them as we can, I promise. But thank you for asking and keep sending them our way. I'm just going to keep rolling through our list here and maybe also incorporate one. My next question on my list is, what role have you seen social media play in making advocacy effective lately? Any particular unique uses of social media tools you've seen? And it looks like Global Health Fellows Program from USAID wants to know if you have any particular methods or tools that keep up consistent engagement with readers and advocates, basically your whole audience. And Whitney, I'm going to throw it right back to you.
Okay. I think for us, we've talked a lot about social media, but our biggest thing right now is our Facebook page. We, like I said, we have a paywall, and so for some people that don't necessarily subscribe to the website, if they were just taking the print paper, they wouldn't really have a way to talk back to us, but they do with our Facebook page. They can comment when we post stories, they can post things to our wall, they can send us messages, they can share pictures, and that is a big part of that, I guess. The more that we branch out online, the more we're kind of getting back from our readers, and the more that they're expecting us to be there as well.
I love that. Katie, you're up next, and you've already talked about all the myriad ways you guys are already using Facebook within your section. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about that, or ways that you guys are using social media to reach out beyond just the section?
Well, we actually have members of our Facebook group and Facebook page that are not necessarily members of our section. So I think there's a ripple effect. You know, when I like something, my friends can see sometimes in their newsfeed that I've liked something. So I've actually noticed my friends and colleagues liking our page or sharing our materials simply by connection. So I think the really great thing about Facebook is that those when your news feed feeds you things that you might be interested in, and you can see that happening. We started with just, you know, a handful of likes on our page, and it's been incredible how our membership is growing as we begin sharing information. And in terms of advocacy, we try to make sure that our monthly hot topic posts are related to legislation. So, for example, our first month, which was just June of this year, we focused on my home state of Tennessee and a law that was recently passed allowing law enforcement to incarcerate women who give birth to a baby with neonatal abstinence syndrome. And we generated lots of discussion there. Again, we did funnel that to a private space. We funneled that to APHA Connect so that members felt safe sharing with other members their personal thoughts instead of, you know, potentially coming under attack on a public forum. And I think that worked really nicely. We were able to move people to a central place for that conversation. And then our topic for July was the Supreme Court's decision on contraceptive and Hobby Lobby. So again, we try to take relevant issues to maternal and child health, focus on advocacy, and move them to a safe place for conversation. But but definitely just the networking effect that social media allows us has helped us to grow interest in what we're doing.
That's phenomenal. Brian, you're plugged into all of this, especially from a grassroots perspective. So can you tell us about any case studies or grassroots effort examples that were championed by effective social media?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one that really comes to mind for this that people might be familiar with is, over the last year plus, fast food workers going on strikes across the United States, fighting for increased wages and respect on the job. And that's been a good case study example of social media success, but it's not a success in a vacuum. Basically what's unfolded is that it started with workers going on strike in one city. That got a lot of news coverage and got people talking about minimum wage in a new and different light. Where it's gone from so you had the offline event driving the news coverage to get the conversation started. Where it went online from there is really keeping the momentum going, keeping the engagement going. There have been, a number of strikes since then. There have been some viral videos about McDonald's really bad budgeting advice, where I believe the second line item on the budget they gave for their workers was income from a second job. So finding opportunities like that to make your target nervous and to apply pressure, and then amplifying them. So between the strikes, you have these social media crafted opportunities that engage your base, that get more workers involved, and really feed into each other. And I think what the fast food campaign has done effectively on social media, and again, I'm going to try to say this in everything I say today, but coming back to your goals and your audience, they had, it seems like two specific goals and two specific audiences. One was to talk to fast food workers themselves and get them fired up and ready to join a strike line, and then two, to talk to I hate to say the public writ large. I would probably say for this case, the politics of it, or left-leaning people who would be sympathetic to the workers. Talk to those people, and really get them talking about the issue on social, so that the media takes note when a video comes out, so that the workers feel like they have the public support behind their backs.
Super important points. You guys all gave really good explanations, so much so that I'm going to piggyback off of all of that and also ask one of our listener/reader/watcher questions. And it comes from Janine Moody, who wants to know if you guys have any thoughts on engaging our elected officials via social media, specifically for the PHACT campaign. And I think we should probably clarify for some people that the PHACT campaign looks specifically or especially at the August congressional recess, which if you don't live in DC, you might not be aware of, but basically Congress goes home to their districts, so you have a much better chance of meeting specifically with your representatives. So does anybody want to hop on here and talk a little bit about how we might be able to use social media to address specifically our representatives about the PHACT campaign? Somebody can be bold. All right, Brian, go ahead.
Anyway, so I'm already ready. Yeah, I mean, I think from the toolkit for the PHACT campaign, there are like the 4 basic asks, and you can use social media to ask people to do those. To take the online action is really going to be what I would call your baseline action. You should message and ask people to send a message to their congresspeople via social media often. Less often, I think, is making the calls. It's a higher bar ask. Fewer people are going to do it, but it's important to be messaging about that nonetheless, because it models to your supporters that you want people to be doing that that's the role you want them to play. The town halls, again, is another high bar ask, but you can really use social media around that. I think one idea is to create a Facebook event for town hall, so that you can track who's signing up, people can communicate about it, people can invite their friends, and then you can report out through the event, you can message through the event. And at town halls, I think also, just like, it's really about thinking like a campaigner and filming those town halls, using town halls or events when people are together as an opportunity to get content that you can push back out on social. Why are those people there? Why do they support public health funding? You can turn that into what I would call a quote graphic that you see go around Facebook a lot with a person and a quote on it. You can film your town hall. There's all kinds of footage that makes it to the news of constituents confronting politicians at a town hall, and it doesn't go the way that anybody wanted, but it makes for good news and good coverage. So it's a way to get your issues out for that. So those are like kind of the core bread and butter asks, I would say. And then you can also engage you can try to engage directly with representatives on social media. What a couple of the most common tactics are on Facebook. The settings are different, and your representative's page can either allow comments on the wall or cannot allow comments on the wall. If it allows comments on the wall, then you can line up 12 people who will all say, yes, at noon on Thursday, we're going to go post this same message on our representative's wall. It'll be a visible way to get noticed. It's probably not the most effective way to get noticed, just because Facebook, being the mass that it is, doesn't pique attention as much. If representatives don't allow comments on their wall, another way that organizations overcome this is just to post your message on whatever it is they're posting. So they might post a picture from a pancake breakfast that morning, and you can get people to go onto that comment thread on that image and say, wow, those pancakes look good, but you know what looks bad? Your funding proposition for public health, something like that. And really on Twitter, it's about the same thing, finding creative ways to tag your politicians, tag your representatives with your messaging. To the extent that the politicians themselves are going to see that, it's a little bit TBD, but their staffers certainly do, and for certain states, for certain issues, on Twitter it can be more effective because if you can generate 15, 20 people all saying the same thing, it can seem overwhelming if it comes from nowhere, and could potentially evoke a response or at least get it on people's radar.
Great answer, Brian, and I kind of like the idea of, oh, Whitney, you've got something, go for it.
Sorry, I was going to add on to that and say, because I agree with a lot of the stuff that Brian's saying about getting active and going out to your town halls or starting town halls to begin with, because a lot of that is similar to what we do, and even though like that stuff might inspire news coverage, a thing that you can also do to engage with your local newspaper would be to kind of pay attention to your elected representatives in the same way. Follow what they're doing, see what it is that you think they could be doing better. And we've had cases where we've had people write into us, write letters, write guest columns or op-eds, and have it published and very pointedly call out their elected officials. And then, days later, within maybe, a couple hours of the paper coming out the next day or the op-ed running online, we've gotten responses from the candidate who's been targeted or the person who's already elected with a response. So you can really provoke some action too by kind of enlisting your newspaper to be the conduit for your message as well. It's great, obviously, to do it on social media, just like Brian is saying, but this is one other option that you can have. Write something to us, we can publish it, and at least for our paper, we have a lot of our elected officials that are reading us every day to see what's going on, and if they see their name in print and see somebody kind of calling them on the carpet, that might inspire some change and some action as well. And it's certainly, and we have seen it happen, we've had it happen here, and it could definitely happen at newspapers from our size, which is pretty small, up to a lot bigger papers. You would have a lot more measurable impact, I'm sure. So that's another option, and that's definitely the offline thing kind of driving the online thing, because I'm sure if you go and say, hey, here's my column that ran on BigRapidsNews.com today, share that on your Facebook wall, that might provoke some of your friends and followers to take up arms as well and pay attention to what you have to say.
I think those are really great examples, and I'm actually going to piggyback onto that right to you again, Whitney, because we've got a question from Daniel Greenberg who wants to know specifically from you, once a letter to the editor from public health professionals once they do get published, what's the next step to making these letters to the editors make real-life impact? And you already kind of started on that, so if you want to get a little more in-depth about it, I think Daniel would be very appreciative.
Sure. So a lot of times we do get letters to the editor. We get pitches for guest columns or op-eds, whatever you call them. Different places call it different things. And I think it's, after it runs, it's kind of up to you to further it after that. You can take that link to that and share it across all of your social media and really do a little bit of self-promotion, I guess. If you're a page manager for your brand, if you're running the Twitter account, you can say, hey, look, this person who was within our organization wrote this and had this published in this paper or, you know, on this news website. And at that point, I think it really puts the ball in your court once we've published it, because you can take that link and you can splash that all over the place, and then that way people can share as well. They can, and I think sometimes for certain types of news consumers, it's a little bit easier to share someone else's editorial and just go, oh, I couldn't have said it better myself. Here's pretty much my thoughts, but this guy wrote it. Check out what he has to say. And I see that a lot more now, especially with link sharing, is that people are kind of, you know, sharing these things, these op-eds and stuff like that, that they've seen and that they've read elsewhere, as kind of a proxy for their own beliefs as well. So where you go with it after it's published by us is up to you. But I would certainly say that once you get it published to us, I mean, the first step to getting it published is to send it. But once it's published, you have free reign. You could throw that everywhere, and you know, we certainly appreciate that because that gets our name out there a little bit as well too.
I would add to that too, to put an ask with it when you're sharing that letter to the editor. Share a link to it and ask your supporters to add their name to the petition if they haven't yet. Ask them to send that letter to the editor or send an advocacy message to Congress. Ask them to share it so that more people see it and get involved in your universe.
Super smart, yes. Adding an ask, really good idea. So we have just time for just a couple more questions. One I really like, and it is from David Corbin, and he wants to know, do any of you use memes, and if so, to what effect? And I can tell you that APHA does, in its adorable Get Ready calendars. We had kind of a cheeseburger kitty situation, and we have dogs, I think, this year, and next year, watch out, because I think it's adorable babies. So that's just one way we use memes to kind of engage people and get them excited about our Get Ready program. What about you guys? Does anybody use memes? Does everybody love memes? I do.
I love memes. We don't use them too often. I don't think we've used them yet. I actually only just took over our social media a year ago, and my approach has been to get a little bit looser, a little bit more colloquial, conversational, but I haven't gone the meme route yet. That's not to say I don't really appreciate that from other brands who do that, especially because, you know, I think Brian said you got to meet them where they're at, and if that's what people are into, that's probably the biggest way that you're going to get your message shared, for sure.
Yeah, I would add, we definitely use them and push our clients to use them. To what effect? It's often minimal, but you know, when we were talking earlier about like using social to tell a story, you've got your baseline asks, your core asks you want people to do. You also need to fit into their lives, and memes are, you know, one currency of the internet, and they're kind of a refreshing way to get your messaging out there in a different light. They're instantly recognizable by people and can be shared real easily because, you know, with images you just click share. There's nothing to click through. You see an image, it makes you chuckle, it makes you feel an emotion. It makes you do something and you click share, it's done. You know, a lot of people want their memes to go viral. They're very, very rarely going to go viral. It's a fickle beast how virality works. So I would say, you know, yes, do them, but don't rely on them and don't expect them to do a whole lot other than, you know, fill out the experience of your followers.
Super good. Katie, you've been quiet. Should I include you in memes?
We have not yet used memes in our sections communications. I guess we've had members share them on our page and get a reaction, but it's not something we've created yet. But I certainly see a place for them. I guess I see them as funny, you know, and so often we're dealing with topics that are very serious. But if we could find a balance between the two, I think that's a great idea. I appreciate it. I jotted a note down to see how we could work on that in upcoming campaigns.
Super great. Much information. Wow. Last question, I promise, for you guys. APHA has developed an action kit that can provide a helpful hand for new advocates. We've had past webinars that people can find online. They might find those helpful. In addition, to stay up to date on the latest federal and state happenings affecting public health, we send out a monthly legislative update to members, specifically on the federal level. What resources or tactics have you seen that work well, particularly for first-time advocates? And Katie, I'm going to send it right back to you because I know you are really getting the ball rolling for your section.
And we have been really fortunate to have our mid-year meetings at APHA headquarters, and there's nothing to get people more enthusiastic than being right there in the middle of it. You know, sometimes down here where I am in the mountains of Tennessee, we can get lost and forget that there's such a connection in DC, and we do have the right and the responsibility to voice our opinion on these things. And what I found the most helpful is when APHA staff, advocacy staff, taught us the very basics of advocacy. And what sticks out to me is their tool to simply insert your name on an email or on a petition and shoot it out to your representative or your congressman or congresswoman. So that's something I brought back to my students at the university. I think it's really important that we share with our students and our colleagues tools like this. So for me, that was a really, really easy way to start. That was just a few clicks, a few key swipes, and it was done. So we're going to start with our membership from that very basic level. But I've also participated at an annual meeting in a walk to the Hill when the meeting was in DC. So certainly there are all sorts of easy ways to get involved, and one thing that we will start doing is sharing APHA's tools for sending off those quick petitions to our representatives.
That's great. Brian, what about you? Any suggestions, helpful tools, tips?
Yeah, I mean, I think the tool I would suggest here for getting first-time advocates is a tool everybody's heard of. It's called Facebook. You can get in front of people, get those asks in front of people, and really be thinking about it. You've got your big goal. You want people to attend a town hall. You want people to contact Congress, and it's really about what are the baby steps to get people to that level. Social media by itself isn't likely to turn out a heck of a lot of people for a town hall, but if you can take the steps to get there. So first, get them to like something you post, get them to comment on something you post, get them to share something you post. Then try to get them to take that online action, to send the message to their legislators so that you can keep on moving it up that ladder of engagement and ultimately get them a little bit more involved in doing offline things.
Fabulous. Great advice. And Whitney, you're the last one here. Any tools, tips, tricks?
I think my role in that is a little bit different than kind of the things that Brian and Katie are saying, but for us, I think you could kind of more like use us as a tool rather than us supplying you with any tools. We could be your tool for getting some more people to come out as advocates for you. In the past, I know we've covered different conferences and stuff that have been held here in Big Rapids. They've been a big draw for people from other states because they happen to be like a hub for all these people that are involved in a certain organization. That's a thing, like if you let us know that that's coming up, we can be there, we could cover it, we could promote it for you, or you could buy advertising in a newspaper to let us know that this is going on. I think kind of showing people what it looks like to be involved is maybe a way to earn yourself some first-time advocates or some people that might be interested in your cause but not know how to get involved. we've covered things like marches and rallies, things like that, and that I guess would be a good entry point for people that want to get involved in advocating for your organization. So if you can get us involved in that way, we don't necessarily possess the tools, but we could be one of your tools. You could get us involved as long as you can make the case for the relevance to the paper. If you've got a big conference coming to our area, if you've got a big rally that's going on, let us know ahead of time, and we would, I think, 9 times out of 10 be happy to be there and cover it. And you know, getting those the pictures in the paper of what it looks like to be an advocate for your group certainly would be an asset, I would think.
I think you're definitely right, and I think that these have been really exciting and not too intimidating, I hope, ways to start getting involved for advocates who want to dip their toes in the water. I know sometimes social media can sound like it's a scary thing, but if you're watching this, you're already really good at it because you figured out how to do a Google Hangout, and that's really good. I just want to say thank you for our panel for joining us today, and thanks everybody for watching. And also thank you to APHA's PHACT campaign for organizing this event. There's also going to be another upcoming PHACT social media webinar on August 6th, so get amped for that. Put it on your calendar. If it is past because you're watching this later on, go look for it. It'll be easy to find. And I'm easy to find on social media. I'm at APHA Lindsay on Twitter. You can find APHA at Public Health on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. You can find all of our panelists on Facebook and Twitter. I'm sure they have their information listed on the Google Hangout page, and they're super Googleable and cool people. So for more information on all of us, check those out. For more information on the PHACT campaign, which will continue through the August congressional recess, which ends on September 7th, you can visit www.apha.org. And for APHA and the Nation's Health, I'm Lindsay Wahowiak. Thanks, panelists. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon, I hope.